The mystery of the Mary Celeste. The disappearance of its crew at sea. On a cold morning in December of 1872, the Atlantic Ocean was unusually calm, with the waves gently lapping against the surface of the sea. The ship Mary Celeste, carrying a crew of 10, was sailing on its journey across the Atlantic Ocean from New York to Genoa, Italy. But what happened afterward turned it into one of the greatest maritime mysteries in history, leaving everyone who heard the story, whether investigators, sailors, or scientists, in awe. The Mary Celeste set sail from the port of New York on November 5, 1872, for a commercial trip to transport cargo, under the command of Captain Benjamin Briggs, who was known for his expertise and competence at sea. The crew was cohesive, consisting of 7 sailors in addition to the captain, his wife Sarah, and their 2-year-old daughter. Although the journey was proceeding smoothly at first, the weather began to change gradually. Nothing seemed unusual about the voyage. Everything appeared normal up until that point. Then came the storm. On December 12th, the ship had crossed the Atlantic Ocean and was sailing in uninhabited waters near the Azores Islands of Portugal when the wind suddenly changed. The calm sea turned into a battleground of furious waves, with the winds howling through the sails and water crashing against the ship's sides. The storm was intense, and Captain Briggs struggled to control the ship, but the rising waves made it difficult to steer properly. Then, as if the heavens had conspired against the ship, the storm intensified abnormally that night. Rain poured heavily, winds howled through the rigging, and the sailors screamed as they tried to furl the sails and steady the vessel. Fortunately, thanks to Captain Briggs and his crew's skill, they managed to survive the violent storm. After the storm, any traces of the strange incident disappeared, and everything remained calm until 4 days after the storm, when things took a strange turn. On December 15th, after several days of smooth sailing, something remarkable was discovered. The Mary Celeste had crossed the Atlantic in an odd and puzzling manner, but it was found about 640 kilometers from the Azores, sailing without its crew. When a British ship, the Dei Gratia, passed by the Mary Celeste, the sailors noticed that the ship was sailing aimlessly, unable to steer or move in a controlled manner. The ship was completely unmanned, and when they approached it, the mystery deepened. There was no one aboard. The crew of the Dei Gratia decided to investigate the strange situation, and they boarded the deserted vessel. As they explored the ship, the surprises continued to unfold. The ship was in good condition, as though it could be ready to sail again. But the strange part was that all the crew members had disappeared without leaving any trace. What made the situation even more puzzling was that the ship still contained all of its supplies, including food and water, and its cargo was intact. Everything was in its place except for one thing: the entire crew was gone. There were many perplexing clues found aboard the ship. The food was preserved, and the provisions were untouched. The ship had not been looted, and the food and water were sufficient for the continuing journey. The captain's personal papers and some notes indicated that the ship was on its correct course. There were no signs of disturbances or significant problems. The captain's spyglass was found in place, but curiously, its lens was broken, leading investigators to wonder if the captain had seen something unusual before vanishing. Investigators began probing the incident, and several theories emerged about what might have happened, though nothing was conclusive. One theory that emerged after the incident suggested that the ship had been attacked by pirates. However, the evidence did not support this idea, as the ship was in perfect condition and no trace of pirates was found. Some experts put forward explanations for the disappearance, including the possibility of strong winds or strange waves that could have caused disturbances aboard the ship. Yet, despite these factors, no evidence proved that this was the cause. Some speculated that the crew might have been struck by a sudden panic due to the unexpected storm, leading them to make the irrational decision to abandon the ship. But could this have been the cause? No one knows. Since the incident didn't resemble any other disappearance, some far-fetched ideas emerged, suggesting that the crew may have encountered something inexplicable in a conventional sense. Whether it be extraterrestrial beings or supernatural forces, this theory of course lacked scientific support, but it made the incident even more intriguing. Despite more than a century passing since the disappearance of the Mary Celeste crew, the mystery of this ship remains one of the greatest unsolved maritime enigmas. The question that lingers is, Was the ship the victim of some strange natural phenomenon? Or was there something bigger at play behind the disappearance of its crew? The truth lies in the depths of the sea, and perhaps those depths will remain locked away forever. Did the crew disappear due to some supernatural force? Or was there something else at play? Something we'll never know.